Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and back in here to start the introduction to this video. Raining outside and all that sort of thing, so that's put a crimp on all kind of different plans. But anyway, in part one I showed you my attempts to build a magic wand, if you will, to reach way up the side of the house and spray on the mold so I don't have to climb a ladder. And I went and got a piece of 3/4 inch square tubing, and yeah, I got it in, I guess, 14 gauge, but it's a little bit heavy. And you guys come along and started making suggestions on a better pole, and came up with the possibilities I hadn't thought of. So I went down to Home Depot, and sure enough, they had this painter's pole that extends from 8 foot to 23 foot. And I bought one, about 45 bucks, but it looks like it's worth it. Made out of fiberglass and aluminum, and I believe that's going to do the job. So in this video, we're going to put all that stuff together, and I'm going to have a little surprise package from California, and general stuff like that. So like I always say, let's get on with it. Well, I'm going to use some of the wood that I had left over from my last miscalculation. It should make me a nice box. I only want the box to be like 9 by 8 by 6, and I think I may be able to get all that out of that left hand piece of material. If not, I'll get a little bit out of the one on the right hand, and then we'll have a box to put the battery in, or we can mount the motor on the outside of it. And then all I'll need to do is to find a momentary switch that I can kind of waterproof a little bit, and I'll be ready to start killing mold. They'll call me the mold killer, or old mold killer something. I'm going to drill holes at the joints and drive nails in them. That ought to be probably as good as any other way I might come up with. Well, if you've got a top that you're going to open and close, you need a hinge, and in that case it'd be a piano hinge would be the easiest thing that I know of to use. Take the top off here, and I guess find a marker. A magic marker here. Not sure what's magic about it, but anyway, we'll take this thing and set it here, and I'll just cut her off about there. Although it might be better to cut it twice. Yeah, but if we want to use these holes, how far would it be to get in between them? Alright, I think if I cut it off here and here, I should have the right size hinge and enough holes still on it to screw it down. So I'm going to cut it and let you guys sleep while I do it. Well, this is not Randy Richards perfect, I can tell you that. I guess my channel is the channel for that it's almost right. That's probably the way to describe my projects. Stuff done almost right. Look what I found. It's I think it's for garden gate and all, and it's not exactly proportional to anything, but it'll work, and I don't have to buy it, so that makes it the perfect one in my case. Alright, so let's line this pump up kind of in the middle. It looks better if it's in the middle, I guess I could do that by comparing the screwdriver here, there, Alright, so once I had one piece of it located with a screw, I went around and worked all the other holes. And yeah, I see you guys in there. Alright, so I'm going to try to drill through here without knocking out big chunks. That probably knocked out a big chunk. Oh. Alright guys, on the lost fries parts, if you notice the sack was sitting right behind me there, just don't say nothing, you know. Good grief, I can't believe that. There it was. Maybe that's why the boss lady's so good at finding things. They're right beside me and I just don't know it. Well, after doing that stuff you saw me doing there, I took a break for lunch. Went down to get some Italian food actually. And when I came back from lunch I thought, well, I'll watch a couple of videos and kick back a few minutes before I get back to working on my project. And while I was sitting there I happened to notice the package that my last batch of stickers came in was sitting over there. And you know, Mario, he's been the unofficial graphic artist for my channel. Well, there was the envelope, and I looked on the return address, and I thought, well, I never saved his phone number, so I'll just search for it, you know, in his town. So I did a search and come up with unfortunate sort of bad news there. It seems that Mario passed on this January, so that's why I didn't get any answers to my emails or anything, because he couldn't, you know. He was well spoken of in his obituary, naturally, and he came along and he went through a lot of different versions of stickers for my channel, did a lot of work designing them and setting everything up, never charged me a thing for the design work. All he charged me was just for the stickers, you know. And so I figured you guys want to know if I ever found Mario, and I did, unfortunately. So, well, we'll get on with the rest of the video now. Alright, I've got a little start made on screwing on the handle. I don't know if that's the right term, but that's what I'm going to call it. I'd got one screw in before the boss lady called me for lunch, and it's got room for 4 screws, but I don't know for sure if I need them, and they're kind of sticking through a little bit, so I'll have to go back and get the Dremel tool. And while I was at lunch I could have picked up a hasp, but I didn't think about it until I got back out here, so I still don't have the hasp, but you can see the pumps mounted on there. I'll hook one wire permanently onto here. This wire will go into my switch will go onto here, and when I'm not wanting to run it, you can just clip the battery charger leads on right here, and the thing won't have to sit in the floor, which I think is probably alright. I'm not going to paint the box or anything. I don't think we need that. So I guess I'll dig in my estate sale box of screws and put 2 more in there. What the heck, they're almost free, huh? Well, some of them maybe. I like to start screw holes with a drill because number 1, that puts it where you want it, and number 2, it gets a little of the wood out of there to keep from splitting everything. And that's just the way the old geezer does it. And totally finished. So here's my clips that'll go on the inside and clip onto the battery, and I'll put a wire on the other side of these bolts that go through there, one for positive, one for negative, and everything should work out reasonably good, I hope. So put you to sleep while I grab the things up, and then we'll look at it again. Alright, that's how it looks down in the box. The electricity comes through here and here, and then it's connected up with those clamps. I could have just, you know, bolted it on there, but if I want to take it out and put it in the lawn tractor, this is a lot quicker than having to unscrew a bunch of bolts. And out here on the outside end of things, I can put the negative battery charger, positive battery charger, and I'm sure I ought to write that on the top of them. And now all I've got to do is to wire in the switch to go around here. And other than a little hash for the top, I've got the battery out of the way of all the, you know, flying bleach and all that sort of thing. You know, I'm just about finished with wiring this stuff up, but I thought to think, the heck with it, I'm going to the range for the rest of the day, and we'll work on this tomorrow, you know. I was wanting to get it done so that I could upload part 1 and part 2 right after it, but what the heck. It don't matter if part 2 shows up for another day or two. So there you are, guys. I'm going to the range. I didn't purposely lie about going to the range. I'm really still going, but I thought before I go, I'll go out and check the mail. And here's this nice big box that came from California. In fact, it came from Chuck Bomarito, who's got the outside screwball channel. And I cut it open and I thought, no, let me come on out here and you can find out what's in it at the same time I do. There's the outside screwball logo. Can you see that on the camera? I don't know. You can't see good on the camera, can you? I need to raise it up some. There, that's better. Now then, let's get the outside screwball. Now then, we get this stuff out of the way. I know we're not going to take a long time on. Here's the foam that's always in a package. Here, just a little care package. Hope items are useful in your shop. All the best, Chuck. There you go. Now then, that's a good piece of, that's plastic for things. Copper, more plastic, and look at that, outside screwball. And he sent a CD. It's a Sandvik CD. I'm sure it's a catalog. Okay, so I'll be hanging up that sticker here shortly. And it says Daisy from Howie. So Howie, not only does Howie take vacations, but he sends treats. How about that? Bacon. Well, me and Daisy both like bacon. I don't know if I'm going to eat it or bring it in to her. I better take it in. Alright, so you know what that is? That's, darn it, Scotch-Brite pad. And sometimes my mind disappears. Here's some gloves and drill bits. And what do we got in here? Here's metal, grindstone, more plastic. This is pretty heavy here. It looks like a bunch of metal. No, it's drill bits. This sucker here is chock full of drill bits. Look at that. That probably just about equals my current collection of drill bits. Wow, Chuck really got carried away there. End mill. Let's see what we got here. We got drill index. All right, this is for your number drills, and that's great. There's a lot of pieces of metal in there. Now I'll have to find the right spot for that. Let's get down into the plastic boxes always have something inside. and this does. It's got a screwdriver set with a little flex drive and sockets. And I'm already dropping stuff out of it. I do that. Alright, let me set this over here. Genuine fly cutter. That's a big one too. They're definitely big. Like I said, end mill, I put him back down there, so I should know that he was there. And a nice end mill here. More metal, of course, down in here. And sterile disposable scalpel. That may be too dangerous to handle that. Here's another end mill down in here. Looks like a really nice one. And this is some kind of plastic. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's plastic, yeah. Like you see, this looks like, I don't know exactly what kind of a stone that is. I'll have to look it up. I don't think I've seen one like it before. Got a lot of aluminum in here. That would have been just great the other day when I was fixing to do something. And a nice big piece of aluminum. And a nice big piece of aluminum. You know, there's all kind of possibilities in a piece of aluminum like that. I think something's come out of the box there. Yeah. That must be the one that this guy goes into. There. And here is another end mill. Chuck must have hit the jackpot somewhere. This is really neat stuff. And burn it. You got to put it together the right way. So, wow. All I can say, Chuck, is thanks. That's kind of, all I can say is wow. You know, I'm kind of blown away. So, after I get back from the range, I'll try and store all this into the proper toolboxes and such places. Back to sleep, guys. Now, oh boys, I hear you. You hear that noise? Sometimes my clumsiness even amazes me. I took that whole box from Chuck, emptied it out before I realized that he had Liptonized that mailing thing. I was wondering why that he had a piece of plywood on there with his logo. You know, it was on the top. All that was put together inside that U.S. mail shipping box, and they had really, you know, beat the seams loose on it pretty bad, and that kept everything together. So, and I didn't even realize what I was dealing with until I had the box empty, and then I realized that's why Chuck did what he did. So I remember Tom Lipton experimenting with all this stuff, working out a sturdy shipping container that would fit inside the priority mailboxes. There they are. I knocked a whole bunch of stupid electrical connectors in the floor when I set that up there, so I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes picking them up. But I'm going to go into something else here. With all the drill bits I had and the drill bits that Chuck sent, I've got a lifetime supply of drill bits, so please don't send any more. Okay? You know, I'm grateful for him. It's just he's brought me up to that point where I can't use them all up in my lifetime. All right, now then, because you guys were so helpful and made all kind of good suggestions, I went to Home Depot, and I have this pole here which weighs maybe a fourth or less of what that square tubing did, and I'll show you how it works. It goes from 8 feet to 23 feet. And what you got first is you got this piece that comes scooping out of the end here, way out here. You tighten him down with the joint, and then you've got even more pole that comes out of there, and it's a combination of fiberglass and aluminum. So everybody's favorite material are represented here. So it's raining out there. Rain's forecast for the next 3 days. Well, at least through Tuesday. I guess that might be the next 4 days. So I'm not going to show me washing the house down because I'm not going to do it in the rain. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video because you can see I can fasten my hose to that, and I'll have to leave little loops that are kind of loose on the side of it so that I can scope it out and still have the hose okay. Shouldn't be any kind of a problem with the hose. And I've got the hasp for the box, and I'll show you how that'll look. I'm going to realign everything here. As we speak, this thing is hooked to the battery charger and charging away. And in keeping with redneck design, I've used duct tape all over the place here to keep the wires together. These guys are going to come up here. I'm going to squeeze a couple of ends on them and then wrap it with tape to keep it relatively dry. It probably won't be a disaster if it does get wet, but anyway, I'm going to tape it there. And I've got the hasp for the box in here somewhere. Here's a nice hasp. I can get it open. It's called a safety hasp. I don't know why, but anyway it is. I don't know which way I'm going to put it. I'm not going to put it down that way. I'm going to turn it around, I guess, and put it like that. Here will be the thing to go on it. So maybe in a tying up loose ends, I'll show you me out there spraying the mold with this, if I happen to think about taking video. So at this point, I'm going to do this stuff off camera. You can pretty much consider this thing is finished, and we'll go see if Ole or Bubba or Thibodeau or some of those characters are hanging around. And I thought of something here. Is I was experimenting with chemically treating my driveway to get rid of the mold, and I did some video on it, and I'll stick that on the end here before we go see Bubba. I don't know if you'd be interested in it or not. It didn't work out the way I expected, but it came close, I think, sort of. Anyway, you can see for yourself here in a second. You see that driveway? That's mold all over it. But if you come down this way, suddenly you find there's a dead spot in the mold, and then it starts over. And the reason for that is that the boss lady washes the dog with Head and Shoulders on the patio, and the water runs down this way, and the Head and Shoulders has killed all that mold. So I'm going to try putting a bottle of Head and Shoulders into the sprayer, and I'm going to spray it out and see if it kills the mold. I think this jobby holds about 2.5 gallons, and I'm going to put about a half a bottle of this in it. This is the Walmart version of Head and Shoulders. Same chemical, maybe less of it in there, but we'll find out. If it kills the stuff off, that'll be a whole lot easier than getting out there with a power washer. We'll find out. Alright, I mixed a half a bottle of the Head and Shoulders with water, about 2.5 gallons of water in my bug sprayer, and I covered all the mold there with it, and then I took the other half a bottle and just sort of slung it out all over the driveway, and it's thicker than flu snot, and So it spread all over, and then I took a water hose and just kind of sprinkled it some so it'd be sudsed up and dripping around here and there. Now I think there's a rain forecast for tonight, so that'll stir it up all over again. And we'll come back in a day or two and see. Although I think I can tell results already. It looks like some of the mold is already getting a lot lighter. We'll see what we'll see. Well, it's been 48 hours since I put the stuff on there. About 10 hours after I put it on, we had a really heavy rain, a couple of inches, and it was pretty exciting, I think, for the neighborhood because there was a lot of wind. And one guy's house got the bricks blown off of one wall, and his neighbor's fence is down, and part of his roof got blown off. So I would say it was a pretty healthy rain. Now I can say that that's a lot lighter than the before picture. So undoubtedly it depends on how many applications. I mean, the spot out here that runs off from Daisy's bath, and she had a bath yesterday. This is a result of multiple applications. So it might be that you have to do that 2 or 3 times before you get this effect, but it really lasts a long time where it runs off. So I may dose it one more time before I get through with this, but you can see how much darker that is. Alright. Well, Ole come up needing to chop down some trees. He told Lena, he says, I'm going to take my axe, go down there, and he says, I'm going to chop down 20 trees. He says, I'll be back in time for supper. Well, he worked at it all day long, and he managed to cut down one tree, and he come back, and he was so tired, he just went to bed without eating or nothing, you know. Next morning, he got up and he told Lena, he says, I'm going to town to get one of those chainsaws, he says, and I'm going to cut down a bunch of the trees. So he went and bought one, and he come back, and he went down and he worked all day long. He just cut down one tree. Next morning, he was back at the, chainsaw dealer, and he was mad. He says, Mister, he says, this saw don't work. He says, all day long, he says, I've worked on it. He says, I want to cut down one tree. And the store owner said, what? He says, I can't imagine that. He says, let me see what's wrong with it. He rips the rep cord on it, and brown, brown, and Ole jumped back and, holy cow, what the luftfisk is that noise? Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.